Hello, and welcome to Rewards Canada's look at the best Mastercards to use at Costco Canada warehouses. The release of this video has been delayed numerous times due to the ever-evolving and changing credit card landscape here in Canada over the past 4 months. If you follow our blog, socials, email newsletter, our This Week in Rewards, and so on, you'll know that I've had to update our feature on the top 5 Mastercards to use at Costco at least 3 or 4 times in just the past few months. The reasons behind this were the discontinuation of the HSBC World Elite Mastercard, to which all cardholders who didn't cancel a card were migrated to an RBC Avion Visa Infinite card. And of course, Visa is not accepted at Costco Canada warehouses, although it is online on the Costco.ca website. This was followed by the devaluation of the Brim World Elite MasterCard. This was really one of the best cards to use at Costco. They held the top spot there for quite some time, but of course that's no longer the case. And then next we had the improvement to the Rogers Red World Elite MasterCard, and most recently Air Miles and BMO adding a wholesale club accelerated earn rate on the BMO Air Miles World Elite MasterCard and on their no-fee MasterCard. So that's a quick review of all the changes, and hopefully the market stabilizes now where this episode won't become outdated in just a few short weeks or months. I'm really crossing my fingers because of all the changes over the past few months that things will stabilize now. With that out of the way, let's jump right into the best Mastercards to use at Costco Canada warehouses. There's actually 2 different number 1 cards. Well, technically 3 different number 1 cards. The first 2 are for Rogers, Fido, Shaw customers. And so we'll get that out of the way first, and then we'll go into the kind of full list of 5 cards for everybody else. So if you're a Rogers, Fido, or Shaw customer, and you get yourself the Rogers MasterCard or the Rogers Red World Elite MasterCard, you can get up to a 3% cash back return on your Costco purchases. These cards have been recently updated. Most recently, it's the Rogers Red World Elite, and they are now the highest earning MasterCards for Costco purchases if you are a said customer of Rogers, Fido, or Shaw. And so if you are, what you're going to get is 2% cash back on all purchases made on the card, and this includes Costco. So you're getting 2% no matter what, and it's not capped. There you can, it's unlimited earning. But then, if you choose to redeem your cash back towards your Rogers, Fido, or Shaw bill, or some other purchases or services from them, they're going to give you an extra 50% cash back credit, which means your return on spending for those Costco purchases works out to an unprecedented 3%. The 3% cash back on Costco purchases is really good. It's hard to match that. There's just a few potential options out there that can get you more than 3% back, and I'll touch upon that later in this episode. So now with the Rogers, Fido, Shaw customers out of the way, what are the top 5 Mastercards to use at Costco? Well, there's a new number 1 on this list, and like I said, I hope things stabilize, that they stay like this for a little while so I don't have to update this as often as I have been. And the new number 1 card, Mastercard that is, to use at Costco warehouses, if you're not a Rogers, Fido, Shaw customer, is the BMO Bank of Montreal Air Miles World Elite MasterCard. Thanks to most recently receiving a boost to earn rates at wholesale clubs, which of course includes Costco, the BMO Air Miles World Elite MasterCard has moved into the top spot for purchases here, as I mentioned before, if you're not a Rogers customer. So this new accelerated earn rate is 2 air miles for every $12 spent at Costco. So this works out to a 1.75% return when you redeem as cash miles, because cash miles are worth 10.5 cents each. It fluctuates for travel, but I put it as a 1.67% return when redeemed for travel. And this is based on the cash plus miles rate of approximately 10 cents per mile. So there we have the BMO Air Miles World Elite MasterCard now being the number 1 card to use at Costco with that 1.67% to 1.75% return. And that return can actually go a little bit higher because there are redemptions within the Air Miles program where you can get like 12 cents, 13 cents, 14 cents, or even potentially a little bit more than that. So yeah, so surprisingly, in some ways it's weird yet exciting to have BMO Air Miles card featured in one of our rankings after years of devaluation after devaluation and confusing earn-to-burn ratios, namely on the BMO rewards cards, which are like the Eclipse and Ascend cards. Not as much on the Air Miles cards, although those have been devalued in the past. Their cards have not provided enough to make it into our top travel rewards credit cards, our top cashback credit cards, and even other rankings like the best cards to use at Loblaws, Sobeys, etc. So this is, yeah, like I said, this is kind of exciting to have Air Miles back into the rankings for one of our credit card features. So now we're going to move on to the cards that rank from 2nd to 5th spot. And they actually all provide the same return at Costco, but the card that we actually rank number 2 is the Rogers Red World Elite Mastercard. And so this is for non-Rogers customers. It gives a 1.5% return on all Costco purchases. Like I said, if you're a Rogers customer, you're going to boost that even higher, but it's even good for non-Rogers Shaw Fido customers because of that flat 1.5% return. And the reason why we rank it as a number 2 card, because it is a World Elite card, so you get all those World Elite benefits like Mastercard Travel Pass from Dragon Pass. But the key feature here is this card has no annual fee. It's one of the few World Elite cards that has no annual fee. So you're getting that straight 1.5% return. You're not having to, do the calculations, am I making enough rewards to pay for the annual fee? And then once you do have this card, you can redeem for cash back against a purchase on your card. There's no sign-up bonus with it, but it still comes with a decent insurance package. Like I said, that has the airport lounge access membership, and all of this, bundled together with no fee. So that is why the Rogers Red World Elite Mastercard is our number 2 card to use at Costco Canada warehouses. In 3rd spot for Mastercards to use at Costco Canada warehouses is the WestJet RBC World Elite Mastercard. So this card has a base earn rate of 1.5% in WestJet dollars. So that includes purchases at Costco. You get 1.5% back in WestJet dollars. The reason why we actually rank it 3rd and in front of some of the other cards is that this earn rate's not capped. You can earn as much as you want at 1.5% in WestJet dollars. Now you are limited to redeeming for WestJet. But again, so this is, you're looking at this chart of top 5 cards. And actually that's kind of why we like to do 5 cards at least for each of our rankings, is because maybe one of those top 5 doesn't work for you, whereas the next one will. And usually in a lot of our rankings, when it's 5 cards, all of them are good options, but you just kind of have to pick the right one for you. So the WestJet card, yeah, we like it as being number 3 because it's unlimited earn at 1.5%, has a valuable welcome bonus because the other cards really don't have much of a welcome bonus compared to this one. And it has additional benefits when you fly with WestJet, like the first check bag free, and you get that annual companion voucher on the card as well. In 4th spot is another card from RBC, and this is the RBC Cashback Preferred World Elite Mastercard. And just like all the cards from 2nd through to 5th spot, this earns 1.5% back on Costco purchases. This is a card that rarely seems to get noticed in our market. It's very quiet. You don't hear too much about it. Like I said, it earns 1.5% cash back on Costco purchases. However, that is limited to the first $25,000 in annual spend, and that's total spend on the card, not just at Costco. So if you're spending a lot on something else and then go make big purchases at Costco and you get over that $25,000 annual spend requirement, or not requirement, spend cap, I should say, it'll drop down to 1% after that. So this is something to take into consideration. This one is kind of more of a card for those who don't spend a ton at Costco, and its annual fee is a little bit lower than some of the other cards on the list. This one's only $99. And rounding out our top 5 is the Desjardins Odyssey World Elite Mastercard. Just like all the others from 2nd through the 5th, this is also a 1.5% return on Costco purchases. It earns 1.5% bonus dollars. That's the loyalty currency of Desjardins. And so you earn 1.5% per dollar spent at Costco. One bonus dollar equals $1, so that works out to 1.5% return on your Costco purchases. There's no cap to that spending on this card. It has a little bit of a higher annual fee than the other cards on the list, not by much, but this one's $130 per year. And Desjardins not as a big of player in the market compared to a lot of the other issuers. So that's kind of why we round it out as the 5th spot card. But again, it's going to come down to you as to which one works best for you. Now we'll take a look at a couple honorable mentions for Mastercards that you can use at Costco warehouses. And these are some of the ones that I was talking about that can actually provide a bit more value than even that 3% when you're a Rogers customer using one of the Rogers Mastercards. The first honorable mention is the CWB World Elite Mastercard. So CWB is Canadian Western Bank, and this card is actually powered by Brim. It's actually a very close version of the old Brim World Elite Mastercard that was the best card to use at Costco for so long. And the reason it receives an honorable mention, because just like the old Brim card, this card actually earns a 2% return on Costco purchases. It's 2% cash back, but it's capped at $25,000 in annual spending. So just like that RBC preferred cash back card. So you're limited at that, and that's in annual spending across the board, not just at Costco. But the main reason we only give it an honorable mention and we don't rank it into the top 5 or as the best card is because it's not available to residents of Quebec. And with all our rankings, we try to use cards or put cards in there that almost all Canadians, if not all like everyone in Canada can get, if you're of age and able to get a credit card, we want it to be, we want to be able to provide options that all Canadians can take advantage of. So the CWB card is not available to residents of Quebec, hence the reason we just given an honorable mention, but it is a very strong card for Costco purchases. And again, it's kind of from a lesser issuer, Canadian Western Bank. They're not huge down east, they're bigger out west. But again, in today's digital age, sometimes it doesn't really matter where you get a credit card, who you get a credit card from. If you're not one of these people who wants to just get a credit card from your own bank that you bank with, then you're fine and dandy to get the CWB card. Of course, if you don't live in Quebec, that is. The next honorable mention is the Air France KLM Flying Blue World Elite Mastercard. And this is one of those cards I was talking about that can provide the ability to be the most rewarding card to use at Costco. But it comes down to kind of some specifics. It comes down to the flights you redeem these miles for, basically. I mean, I can give you a couple examples, one of which goes back to our loyalty lesson on why credit card reward charts rarely provide good value for economy class flights to Europe. In that lesson, we had an example from Air France KLM Flying Blue, which had an economy class redemption. This isn't even business class, this is economy class, where you would redeem 40,000 miles plus $303 for a flight between Montreal and Paris that cost $1,154. This works out to a value of 2.13 cents per mile. And since this card earns 1 mile per dollar spent at Costco, so 1 mile may not seem like lots compared to the 1.5%, 2%, 3%, but because it's 1 mile per dollar, and that redemption example was 2.13 cents per mile, that's actually a 2.13% return. So that's better than any of the cards in the top 5, except for the Rogers customers who choose to redeem for Rogers services or products and get that 3% return. So you're getting 2.13. That being said, we've had examples where you could get 3 to 4 cents per mile, and that's even in economy class. The most notable one of this was about a year ago. I was looking, was a trip to North Africa. So places like Algiers, where you still only have to redeem only 40,000 miles for a round-trip flight, but the cash price of those tickets tend to be quite a bit more. So again, that now gives you a 3 to 4% return. And we've seen similar or even higher value when you redeem for business class flights. But even when Air France KLM has their great business class sales, which they do, a lot of times they have their flights for around $3,000 round trip for business class, you can redeem 100,000 Flying Blue miles for a round-trip flight on that and roughly $700 in fees for those flights. So if we take 3,000 Canadian, subtract $700, that's $2,300 in value for 100,000 miles. That's a 2.3% return. So again, better than all the cards except for Rogers for Rogers. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. So if you just hear me say Rogers for Rogers, that's me referring to the Rogers customers using Rogers credit cards, using their cash back towards Rogers services, if that makes sense. So continuing on, one other final honorable mention is the Cathay Pacific World Elite Mastercard from NEO. Again, as this is an airline loyalty program card, it works in the same fashion as the Air France KLM Flying Blue card in that you have the potential for outsized value when redeeming for flights. So think at least 1.5% to maybe 2% for economy, and then much higher than that, 2%, 3%, 4% for business class and first class, and going on from there. So there's a lot of value in those airline cards, but again, we're giving them honorable mentions because the value fluctuates so much. It's hard to nail down an actual true value for them. Plus, they're specific to flights, right? Because it's not cash back, it's not all travel, and you're specific to their airlines or their partners. Now, Flying Blue's unique in that they have the partnership with WestJet, so you can redeem Flying Blue miles on WestJet flights. Now, Cathay Pacific also allows you to redeem Asia miles on Air Canada flights, but only a select few. So again, so it's just kind of more limiting, but it's good to know that those cards have the potential to provide the best value in terms of your Costco purchases, but it really comes down to your habits, especially on the redemption side. I always say you have to look at your spending and your redeeming sides. We know we're talking about spending at Costco, so this one, picking the right card will come down how you want to be rewarded. And that's it. That's a look at the best Mastercards to use at Costco Canada warehouses in Canada. Now, you may be asking, what about the Costco Mastercard from CIBC? And that's a great question about the Costco Mastercard. It's not the greatest. And this is just like the Capital One card it replaced before. These cards only earn 1% cash back at Costco warehouses. So all these others are 1.5%, 2%, 3%, or you get the variable with Air France and Cathay Pacific. So the CIBC Costco Mastercards only 1%. So you're actually earning less. Now it does give 2% for Costco.ca purchases, up to $8,000 per year. And so what some people do to earn that 2% cash back is they go to Costco.ca and they purchase Costco gift cards online on the Costco.ca website, and then use the gift cards in store at the warehouses. So that's how you get 2% back on the CIBC Costco Mastercard. But for a lot of people, they can't be bothered to do that. So it's not the best card to use there. Now, the Costco Mastercard does earn a decent amount, 3% at Costco gas, 2% at other gas stations. So it's good there. 3% at restaurants, pretty decent too. Like it's a decent card, but for your everyday general spending at Costco Canada warehouses, it's not as rewarding as the others that we mentioned on this list. So that's it. That's a look at using Mastercards at Costco warehouses in Canada, the best ones, and even why the CIBC Costco Mastercard is not the best to use at Costco warehouses. And that's all she wrote for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for tuning in. Be sure to help spread the word so that we can keep bringing you the best loyalty rewards content in Canada. Share the podcast or the video with your friends, family, coworkers. Hit the like button. Subscribe to our channel. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.